Well, it's time for a proper throwback here. We get to take on some Super Touring action in the first round of the RaceRoom Super Touring Championship. Been super excited for this one for quite a while. It's myself, Elizabeth Glade, it's Cameron Roger alongside. And the throwbacks, they keep on coming. We're racing here at the Hockenheimring, but not, of course, the post-2002 circuit that we currently have. We're going all the way back and we're going around that such a long loop down to those chicanes. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to see what this championship is going to be all about because, of course, we're having something a little bit different. We're used to all these modern machineries. We're used to having the new and the latest DLC, the latest tracks, but going to something a little bit more old school is using sim racing to its absolute, best form, where we have the ability to do things that aren't, in real life anymore.
Indeed. Well, you can see the calendar there. So we've got the Hockenheimring, we've got Estoril, we've got Donington on there for racing as well. Avis, Zolder, Silverstone's, both classic and new. And then a secret selection of tracks for the finale. That's to be dealt with down in September. So that's fine. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But of course, keeping our eyes focused on what we're doing. It's going to be very difficult anyway, racing these kinds of cars. There's 30 cars, by the way, taking to the circuit. It's again, these are cars that a lot of sim racers aren't really used to racing, Cam.
Which is going to be some good fun. Here's the entry list. I'm sure you'll recognise loads of these drivers, but there are some new names to us as well, and I'm sure we'll see how they get along. But yes, Lewis, it is great to have something a bit different. It's not cars that they necessarily know. It's not cars they're necessarily comfortable with. There's all sorts of different, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive situations here as well. So a bit different in terms of the balance of performance, let's call it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's just something a bit different.
Yeah, there's obviously a few drivers to really look out for on here. Drivers that we're well used to seeing in the RaceRoom esports stuff on the official side of things. Your Andika Rambulanas, your Tinadinas, your Bench Farkash, Rob Wiesemuller on the grid. A big shout out to RW, someone who's been behind the scenes of RaceRoom for such a long time in the years fairly far in the past now. God, it feels like just yesterday, but of course, still a big member in the community coming on races. So great to see. Look, a lot of really, really good names. Enzo Filippo, one of the highest ranked drivers. Look, it's a good grid.
It's absolutely stacked, to be honest. And the fact that there's over 30 drivers as well, that means it's going to be so difficult just to get inside the top 10, let alone be well up there towards the front. So definitely a good one, to be honest. I'm looking forward to it. The fact that the top drivers come out as well, I think just proves the fact that this championship is something quite cool. It's something quite different. It's really bringing them out to play. If it's a bit boring, they might be like, oh, let's just, have a nice, easy, chill Thursday evening. But no, they're here. They are racing and they are ready to get this championship underway at the old school Hockenheim.
Yeah, I'm expecting some proper elbows out racing, especially with the types of cars we've got. If you don't really know what super touring cars really are, of course, they're proper old school touring cars. This is one of the main things we were talking about coming into this before we went live. I have a little bit of a chat about this. To talk through how the evening's going to work, we have 3 races across the evening. A 15-minute race to start with, a 15-minute race after that, and then a 25-minute race to end the evening. All of the races have a qualifying session prior to it, and those qualifying sessions as we can quite clearly see here, are open qualifying. No private laps, no you by yourself out there wrestling it around with all the drivers.
This is, for a minute, I thought this was a formation lap. I thought we actually missed qualifying for 10 seconds there before I realised that, yes, it is open qualifying, of course. So therefore, getting a clean lap is basically going to be impossible. And that has the opportunity to spice up the grid a little bit. So I'm looking forward to this. And the fact that we have this 3 times as well, that should be good fun. Of course, we'll do our best. It seems like there's a lot of the Alfa Romeos in that red #1 livery. So we'll do our best to work out which driver is which, as there's some excessive weaving here. I guess tyre blankets weren't a thing back in the day. So they have to wiggle around on track to try and get some heat in those tyres.
All of the Alphas are in basically the same livery. You might see a 15, you might see a 30. They've got slightly different liveries, but effectively they're all red, which is super unhelpful. But we will deal with it. Obviously, the cars you can see out there, we've got the Alfa Romeo 156, you've got the Audi A4s, BMW 320i's, Honda Accords, Opel Vectras, Volvo 850s and S40s. We've seen a few of those S40s rolling around the circuit that I'm not gonna lie, Cam. I would definitely take the fridge. I'm a big Volvo guy. Look at it. I mean, look at it.
The fridge. Was that actually the official
No comment.
nickname of it? That is.
Especially when it was in British Super. It wasn't the S40. The estate. That was definitely.
To be honest, I do have a soft spot for the S40 as well. But I'm a BMW boy deep down as well. So yes, that's of course the E36 there. That look at it, so beautiful. Do love that one. But who knows? We'll find out what is fastest on the track as we come into these first laps. 5 minutes to go in this session, but everyone is in one long line, so it's going to be so difficult. A lot of slipstream, to be honest. But if someone goes slow in front of you, it's really going to slow you down.
Get that real good view as they work through the Nord curve, which in this era obviously is a lot tighter. There's no big runoff. Lovely obscured view there
nice
as we work our way down into the Clark curve. Obviously, one of the main things about this version of Hockenheim, again, if you've never raced it, pre-2002, you've got such long runs down into these chicanes. You've got the Clark curve here as they go through right, then left, then right again. And then as the circuit kind of bends its way to the right, you get another chicane at the US curve. It's quite tricky to bear this second chicane because it drops down quite a lot.
Yeah, this chicane's horrible. This chicane's absolutely horrible, the second one, the US curve. I wouldn't want to be driving it, that is for sure. They reconfigured it a few times, but we'll have to see who is going to come out on top as we get Robert Wiesenmüller, who, of course, a lot of people from the RaceRoom community will know over the years, organising a lot of these events back in the day. And he is absolutely clobbering the curbs there, but trying to get some slipstream as he works his way back towards the stadium.
Look, I used to race Rob Wiesenmüller in Super Tours as well. I was back on R-Factor 1. No, it's fine. They're going for a chicane and they're getting onto two wheels. This is normal Super Touring car stuff. That chicane is crazy. They work their way on this backstretch down into what is Mobile 1 in the modern era. They flick it through this right-hander and then down towards the Sachs curve. It's a Tilladina just ahead of Rob Wiesenmüller here. Wiesenmüller's been flying around this lap, and the middle sector is fast enough, with the exception of Bentz Farkas, though now it's going to be a little bit awkward as they work their way through the left and then the right and then into the final complex of corners through the two final right-handers. Tilladina will be the first driver to cross the line to end their first lap in this qualifying session. 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. What will this lap time be from Dina? Across the line, it will get instantly beaten by Rob Wiesenmüller, but it was a 2:19.388, then an 18.972. Lloyd Bidelf goes on to provisional pole with an 18.6, and then Bentz Farkas smashed it out of the park with an 18.177.
Oh my word, lap times are really coming in already, and I tell you what, I might be turning into an S40 fanboy as well, because that's a beautiful car. Up towards the front, as here's Halstein coming towards the final couple of corners. As it stands, we're seeing the lap times being quite varied already. Some drivers 3 seconds off, but I'm sure as the session goes on, they get that second lap into it. They're only going to get time for another lap, actually, so it's going to be quite an important one to be clean. He's got no one in front of him having some slipstream, actually, for outside, so that might just hinder his lap time a little bit. Yeah, looking at it, he is going to be down towards the back, needs to find a bit of a toe around the long straights here.
Of course, one of the most notable features of the Super Touring era is the difference in where the power goes. So obviously you've got things like the Alphas, the Volvos, and the Accord, which are all front-wheel powered machines. You've got your favoured BMW rear-wheel drive, of course. You've got that Audi all-wheel drive. Very different in approach and philosophy. And in that, you kind of have to change your approach and philosophy of driving. That's why some of these cars work quite well for some and then not so well for others. I actually didn't mind the all-wheel drive, but you have to... I always find you have to think a little bit more and be a little bit more confident with the right foot.
Yeah, it's sort of the style in which you have to go around a corner is different, but of course, ultimately you can make them work and they can all be fast depending on the situation. Over the tracks that we go to, I'm sure certain styles of cars will benefit different ones at certain times, but here as well, it's just all about that top straight line speed. There's 4 long straights around here that's going to be so important as... well, yeah, basically, you can't do anything in a straight line. You're just flat out in the corners. At least the driver can do something at some of the more tighter tracks we might get to later on in the season. Come up to the final minute. A few laps coming in. We've got some green. We've got purple sector out there for Farkas. Here comes Dino around the final corner. He's pulled away massively, it looks like, from Wiesenmüller and trying to improve his time.
Yeah, indeed. Should be a good lap time here from Tiladina. It'll move him up into the top 5 or so. Not even that, actually. Held a little bit in the final sector. Bent Farkash up towards the line to move further clear of everyone as he crosses the beam. It was a 177, it becomes a 109. So it's not ridiculously fast, but Andika Rama takes his BMW up to second position then in this qualifying session. We'll see Oliver Bent picking up a little bit of slipstream here as pretty much everyone's finishing their laps. Not sure. No, he's not going to have enough time to get round.
Yeah, maybe not. That's a bit of a shame. But of course, you say Rama Milana in the BMW. That's because he has one of these in real life. Actually, these turned into a bit of a race car. He's got an E36. It's quite cool to put that into the sim as well. 13 seconds remain. It's a dash to the line for these drivers, but they might just be a little bit short, unfortunately, to get these final laps in. So maybe no improvement there, as that is a blast from the past in the Opel as well. Oh, what a beautiful car.
Do you know what? I actually maintain super under. I always like, obviously, for us here in the UK, between me and Cams, it's a Vauxhall. But, you know, I always used to like them. They're also our Bobby cars over here. That's fine. We don't talk about that. Bent Farkash will be on pole position then for the first race of the evening. Andika Rama will be alongside on that front row. They're going to get themselves ready for what is going to be a 15-minute sprint. One thing there, Cam, Farkash looked very strong.
He certainly did. There was a big gaggle of cars in behind, but he seemed to have that little bit of a pace advantage. So I wonder if that's going to transfer into the race. Of course, he was getting, I didn't quite see who it was, but he was getting a massive slipstream, massive tow there. So he definitely gained some tenths of a second from that. But if he can translate that into race pace, that's going to be very difficult indeed. But of course, 3 races coming up tonight. Plenty of opportunity for drivers to maybe get ahead of him in a couple of other quali sessions as well.
With 30 cars then taken to the grid, you could see quite a few of them will be starting on the final corner at the Sud curve. So for some of those, it might be a little bit awkward to get off the line, but we know how things go down into this opening corner. In the modern era of motorsport, you get to fly off the circuit, use all the tarmac runoff. Back here in the Super Touring era, not a chance. Bent Farkash then on pole position for the first race of the season in the RaceRoom Super Touring Championship. Is Farkash, who will lead from pole position if he can get that good start, if he can put all that power down on that race down into the first corner. And Andika Rama will remain in second spot. That's coming straight through the middle. It's Enzo Filippo in the all-wheel drive Audi as he works his way straight up into second position. A couple of those Volvos going for moves in the background, but that's a great start from Filippo, who's picking up the slipstream of Farkash. And Andika Rama feeling the pressure from Biddulph as well on the race down to the second turn.
This is going to be the first opportunity to see some top speed differences and who is going to be brave on the brakes. We'll go 3 wide, Audi, BMW, Alfa Romeo down in towards the Clark curve. It's a long run and this sort of kink in towards the braking zone. Milana trying to hold on to that inside line, which of course give him the position. So he gets back that second place that he lost in turn 1.
Yeah, Filippo getting a little bit held back there, just courtesy of giving out the slips from everyone else, but also I'm pretty sure that Audi's a little bit heavier than some of the other cars around it, and that causes some straight line speed issues. Expecting to get stronger as the season goes on when we go to some tighter tracks, but still, for right here, right now, Filippo's just looking to get some solid points on the board. And to be fair, maybe survive long distance into the race. I don't know how the tyres and such are going to unfold. This is a bit of a squeeze as we head up here. Big move coming into the inside. That was Christian Juhasz firing his way through when Enzo Filippo also side by side between Andika Rama and Lloyd Biddulph, but running away at the front of the field. 1.2 seconds with dominant pole position from Bent Farkash, and it's now looking like a dominant race as well.
Yeah, this battling is certainly helping him. There's a huge send here to the inside for Biddulph. As soon as he pulls out, though, loses a bit of momentum with no more slipstream. He has the inside line, though, so Milana is going to have to back out of this one. The Alfa gets himself up into second place, but further losing some tenths to the leader up ahead. We are side by side a bit further back as well to try and get a bit of a run. I think that's Ribeiro trying to hold on to that 9th position. As down this long back straight once again, it looks like Milana might lose another place.
Yeah, indeed. You've got Juhasz working his way up the order in one of those S40s, looks to the inside, commits into it as they go into the fast right-hander as they work into the stadium section. This is going to allow Biddulph to clear off into the distance. Proper touring car racing here with a bit of door banging as they head their way down to the Sachs curve, and Roman Milana is able to keep Juhasz at bay. What
battles here, coming in towards the stadium section for the first time of asking through the Sioux curve in towards the start-finish straight. The drivers stay so close, bumper to bumper, as we end the first lap here. And it looks like Farkash is going to lead by 1.7 seconds. What a run he's got in his Honda Accord at the front.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry. I know you can't. You might not be able to see me exactly right now, Cam, but I've got a bit of a smile on my face. I am loving seeing these cars taken to the circuit, racing like this, getting their elbows out. It's proper racing. It's just excellent to see. And then again, you know, you've got to be a little bit respectful and all that, but this is touring car racing at the end of the day. You're going to get those rubs. You're going to get that little bit of door bang. And of course, we do have race control behind the scenes, keeping their eyes to make sure that everything relatively stays pretty cool on their approach. But there's going to be a couple of bits of contact here, going straight on and crossing over. That was Patrick Chari, I believe, going straight on one of those Alfa Romeos after making contact to the rear end of Christian Newhash.
Just after you're mentioning the stewards as well, he's going to have to let that Volvo get back in line, and he certainly has done. Is he going to lose a position here, though, as we get to Jean Pretre trying to come around the outside, almost going 2 by 2 in towards the US curve as he tries to push each other in towards the braking zone. We're trying to go 4 wide momentarily. They're into the braking zone. Further contact is made, and Chari on the outside there is going to lose some more places.
Yeah, a lot of drama. I think there was Luciano Vitford, there might have been Bo Dixon dropping down the order as a quartet of the Alphas were going side by side. We ride on board with RW. He's trying to get his way past Enzo Filippo. Obviously, Filippo took over second position on the race down into that opening corner with the all-wheel drive, that superior launch from the Audi. But as the race has gone on, maybe it's not quite worked out in favour. Doesn't quite have the straight line speed to keep those at bay. And Rob Wiesemuller might be looking for a move fairly soon. Ribera might be closing in a little bit, but he is also in an Audi in the background. The defensive line was coming in. Zadika Rama Molana takes over second position once more as there comes the look.
Yeah, down the inside is Wiesemuller. That's going to turn to the outside line, of course, for the Sachs curve. A little bit of contact and rubbing on the front wing there of the Volvo, but it seems like they are okay. So Filippo in that Audi is going to hold on. That does just open a couple of tenths of a second, though, up towards a couple of Alphas ahead of him. So he needs to be careful not to lose too much time as that's into the grass there on the exit for Bidolf. So Milana is holding on to that second place that he's regained once more. And Juhas is going to be thinking about it, but just showing you how these old school gravel traps can catch you out.
Yeah, big gap, by the way, between 9th and 10th positions. Tiladina sits off the rear end of Ribeiro. But to be fair, Ribeiro did close down a very similar level of gap to close up to the rear end of Rob Wiesemuller. So I wouldn't necessarily say that that's too over it as we'll work our way into the middle portion of this race. Obviously a 15-minute race, 5 minutes down. Still 9 and a bit left to go as we ride on board with Juhas. We see Bidolf going for the move and going for a bit of the bump draft as they work their way down into the Clark curve. Comes Bidolf, comes Romolana, comes Juhas as well. And it is Andika Romolana remaining in second position. Juhas, though, picking his way past the Alfa Romeo. Could there be another move down the final end of the circuit?
Yeah, aggressive move there, pushing his way past. And Bidolf losing a couple of places in half a lap. Needs to be careful not to open the door too much, but they do have a little bit of a gap behind as Milana holds it to that inside line. He actually comes mid-track just to close off Bidolf as well. This is very tight chicane.
Whoa!
Oh, in the background, though, they go for a spin. Filippo's gone off.
Yeah, he had contact there. I'm pretty sure it might have been with Jean Petre. Could have been with Patrick Chari, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, there was definitely contact. And a bit of a shame. It's just how, I think it was indeed Jean Petre there, and we can see dropping down the order. Just an awkward bit of contact there going into the braking zone.
Yeah, I think there was some out-braking manoeuvres being made, but not quite being completed. But it seems like they have all continued on, though. Of course, they went through the gravel and over the chicane, etc. But it looks like they are going on, and we are getting these little battle packs. But look how long this straight is. Everyone is staying fairly close together, to be honest, as we're seeing. This is Juhas. He's got himself up into second place. He's on that inside line as well. So Bidolf braking later, hitting the rear bumper of the Volvo in towards, of course, the very fast right-handed corner, but he manages to hold on.
Or we still call it Mobile One? It wasn't called Mobile One back here, but I think everyone knows it as Mobile One. It's Mobile One. Let's be real.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused there, I would say. I'm sure you were.
Yeah, no, I wasn't the first.
Old school names.
I was like, no, I'm just going to commit to it. It's fine. But to be fair, that's one thing to note. Is there's a big move to the inside from Rama Molana here at the final corner. What a brilliant move from Andika Rama Molana to get past Bidolf there. Wow, we don't typically see moves into the last turn like that, but offline, he pounced.
Yeah, bit off 2 laps in a row, dropping the left wheel into the gravel and is lost in positions both times, actually to the same driver. With Milana, of course, Juhas got past the pair of them on the previous lap. He's going to get a big bump draft here as they try to work their way out towards Juhas. They've already lost half a second. They've lost 4 seconds to Farkash, by the way, who we haven't mentioned, but he is still out there leading.
Yeah, but to be fair, complacency is what would go against Farkash in this scenario, so he needs to keep himself clean. Here comes the big look to the inside from Andika Milana. You've got side-by-side battling in the background as we've got Chari, we've got Rob Wiesemuller, we've got Jean-Petre and Ribeiro. All in battle at the moment in the background. You can see that distinctive colouring. Ribeiro trying to go around the outside of Jean-Petre at the moment. That's behind all this, but right now we can't take our eyes off of Andika Ramalana trying to fend off Bidov, trying to get in behind Christian Juhas in this fight for second position.
Yeah, I'm loving this battle so far on tight chicanes. Actually, let's first get a replay to see how things progressed a little bit earlier on, although I think we are still seeing the signs of Bidov trying to have a run here down the inside of Milana as we get up towards the braking zone, but not enough this time around. Actually, Juhas broke way earlier. Milana very, very aggressive, and he's going to get the run here as well.
Got to remember, a lot of these cars, this is the thing with the Super Touring era, every car does drive pretty distinctively differently. And that includes everything from how they get up to their speed, of course, front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, all of it gets up to speed in different ways. That's before you even start accounting for power and weight of each of these cars. But then the braking of each cars, I promise you it is different on each of the cars. Some will need to brake quite a bit earlier, some will need to brake, can brake quite a bit later. They're afforded that opportunity with a slightly lighter vehicle. It's just how it goes. And then also you have that driving style of these cars where they're also different. I always found in the front wheel drives in these cars, this is the one type of car where I really learned how much 10 meters makes a difference in the braking zone. And I mean braking earlier. 10 meters earlier, you have so much control on the corner in those front wheel drives. And so sometimes they do want to brake that a little bit early just to make sure the balance is there.
Yeah, that's very true. It's also about it's not necessarily in terms of the braking performance, it's also how you have to take the corner. That is a little bit of a different line there, one going wide, which is Lichtenhagen. We got Rene. Although, having said that, he's now got a driver, Bo Dixon, trying to go up his inside line. I think that was just about being chopped off there in the mirrors. There's a huge train behind. We've got Lakovsky and Petter Daniel involved too.
Yeah, it's a pretty potent battle, this one here, as they go 3 wide, trying to work his way straight around the outside. Comes Cody Nikola Latkovsky in the Audi, and will indeed pick his way through. I know it might be hard to pick that out as being an Audi and all that, because it is red, and so you'd normally assume it might be an Alpha, but no, that definitely is one of our Audis, and it does indeed make up the move just about now. Try and take on the BMW of Lichtenhagen. Will there be the move for the Macedonian by the time they work their way down into the second chicane on the loop? Defensive line will come in from the BMW, and so no move will come in.
But I think it will come at one point, because that BMW is going to struggle. No slipstream up ahead. Lakovsky trying to make it 3 moves in 3 corners as we work our way down towards the center curve. What is that Audi got compared to the BMW? It's almost bump drafting. And so the issue is when you get this close, you don't actually have a slipstream pull. So when he pulls out, he's not going to have any sort of overspeed, so he's going to have to do it all on the brakes up the inside. He is braking later. Around the outside, though, goes the BMW. Lichtenhagen, aggressive defense, but he's kept the position.
Be careful with messing with that absolute tank of an Audi, because that thing does weigh quite a bit. And so once you try starting to push it around, well, that's the kind of car that can push back. The Audi of Nikola Latkovsky will look to the inside as they head into Mobil 1. It's more in defence, though, as to the outside comes Bo Dixon, firing it straight through at Mobil 1. Inside line by the time they get into the braking zone of the Sachs curve. Straight around the outside comes Cody Nikola Latkovsky. Will use that all-wheel drive to plant the throttle down, kicking out the rear end as they go through and into this final complex of corners. Brilliant hold for the Macedonian.
Lovely, lovely racing here in this championship. First race of the season, 3 minutes to go of the first race of the night as well. And what a brilliant piece of entertainment we've seen as we come back to the front. Look at this train of cars. Ribera's the Audi there at the back of the pack, but up ahead of him, it's bumper to bumper, all the way up to Bidolf. This is crazy, seems as Juhas has got away for second place.
Yeah, indeed. You're absolutely right. Benz Farkash, well clear. Christian Juhasz, slightly clear. Jari, then Ramamolana, then Bidoff, Rob Wiesemuller, who we're looking at here. Big looks to the inside, coming in between those two Alfa Romeos in 4th and 5th. Kick of oversteer coming off the corner as well from Ribeiro. What can Rob Wiesemuller, what can Ribeiro, what can they do about those Alphas directly ahead of him? Bidoff, who's looked so strong in the opening portion of this race, now starting to see a bit of a gap grow between himself and the groups ahead.
And at some point, someone is going to make a move. That you can be sure in this championship. Nothing into this chicane, though. They actually sort of spread out. Oh, over the chicane. That's Bidoff. And he's going to lose his momentum. Chari might have a run as we come down this next back straight.
Yeah, he went nearly smacked one of those curbs on the way through as well. Ramamolana, by the way, he's closed that 1.2 second gap back down already to 0.7 of a second. So Christian Juhasz might have thought, oh, I'm actually clear of this lap, this lot going into the final lap of the race. Alas, no, you're not, sir. And the entire group will close its way back onto the rear end.
Yeah, lovely battle. Oh my word! Look up the straight there. The gap that Farkash has, almost 6 seconds, and they've done a really good job actually. This group, despite the battles, to catch down Juhasz by over a second in the last lap or so. Big move coming here to the inside from Bidoff. Huge send down the inside. And oh, that is why. Way too late on the brakes. He's going to lose a couple of positions there. Ribeiro actually in the Audi is now trying to come around the outside of Sachs.
Yeah, that was some 41. He was in too deep. Straight to the outside comes Ribeiro on Chari as well, trying to make things a little bit worse. But alas, the Hungarian driver will keep Ribeiro at bay. On to the final lap of the race. We look at Lloyd Bidoff. Ahead of him is Andika Ramamolana. Ahead of him is Christian Juhasz, and the two of those will likely do battle on the final lap here of the opening race of the RaceRoom Super Touring Championship here at the Hockenheimring. Into the first corner they go. Obviously, no one's close enough to make any moves, but it's down into the Clark curve where we can start seeing those overtakes.
And who is going to be brave enough for a final lap overtake? You've only got, actually, you have quite a few options around here, to be honest, with the chicanes, but this is a good one because the braking zone's a little bit tighter. So let's see what they can do. As Dinah here he gave a huge slipstream in the qualifying. He's doing it once again to Burnt here in the race as well. Although Burnt's not looking to make a move at this point, maybe waiting a little bit later. They're a bit far away, to be honest, to bump drive up to Jean Petra. So I think he's just waiting and biding his time.
Indeed, seeing them march their way through the chicane. We go back to Rydell, trying to get past R8 as they head their way in. We get one of the 850s on our screen. Not a popular choice. We're seeing a lot more S40s out there in the Volvo kind, but it is always good to see the OG fridge out on the circuit. But look, I'm not going to lie, I'd still be in an S40, but I do like the 850.
Yeah, there's something about the boxy nature. Not a single bit of aerodynamic wind tunnel testing on that, but it's still up there trying to battle for the top 23. Wide we go. Huge send down the inside. Is that going to work as we come through the apex? I think it is. And what a move there we see. It was that D'Arcanio get through. I think it was, as Ardi tries to hold on.
That was a fantastic move and a great attempt. So not many corners left to go. Benz Farkash is clear. Christian Juhasz is not. Andika Ramamolana is right onto the rear end. And he's made moves in the final sector before. They head their way up towards Mobil 1. You've got Rob Wiesemuller trying to make the move on Lloyd Bidoff in the background as well. They'll go side by side. It'll be Rob Wiesemuller trying to go for the up and under as they head their way into the stadium section, into the Sachs curve. Through the final complex of corners, Benz Farkash is going to come through to take an unbelievably dominant victory here at the Hockenheimring. Superb performance from the Hungarian, who will win at the Hockenheimring and win the opening race of the RaceRoom Super Touring Championship. Behind that, though, it will be Christian Juhasz just about across the line with Andika Ramamolana in third position. A drag race for third, fourth and fifth. For fourth, fifth and sixth, rather. We'll see Lloyd Bidoff just ahead of Rob Wiesemuller. Patrick Chari was almost back into the mix as well.
And Lichtenhagen will hold on to that battle as Lakowski couldn't get through. Bo Dixon also dropping down a couple of places towards the end there. So lovely racing by over 6 seconds. Such a dominant victory there for Farkash. So what a way to open the season. But there's still 2 races to go and some qualifying sessions as well. So he's going to have to pull out another qualifying performance to start the front again.
qualifying masterclass it was from Bence Farkash, which put him in prime position to take the first victory of the season. Uhash then across the line in second position with Andika Rawamilana. Lloyd Biddulph leads Rob Wiesemuller across the line. Good race there from Wiesemuller, who worked his way up the order. Then, of course, we have Chari, we've got Ribeiro, Jean Petre, Dina and Bernd, the top 10 across the line in the opening race of the season. Enzo Filippo will be in 11th position and maybe slightly disappointed with it. You've got Vitvote Nats, Vladimir Savljevic will be in 14th position with Lichtenhagen, Nikola Latkovsky, Vinieri, of course, with Dixon, Daniel, and Kubalaya will be in 20th position. Arde in 21st position with 22nd being Toronto. Diarcanglio in 23rd with Rydell, Vicente, Volta, then of course Lynn, Volk, Haustein and Bozo, the 30 cars. Retirement there for Bozo, unfortunately, but sometimes that's just how the season unfolds for you. Sebastian Ray, also a retirement from the race, someone who we know could put together a very solid performance, but not here. That's just how it goes. All the talk of the town is that driver right there, Bence Farkash. Absolutely fantastic in this opening race of the season, taking that Accord up to top block. Christian Uhash is cheating along with Andika Rawamilana, taking the 296s out of the circuit. That's fine.
Didn't help them though, did it?
What a podium.
Modern GT3 machinery. But yes, unbelievable to see some of the top drivers here on RaceRoom come out for this championship and put on such a show already just in the first race of the night. So I think this is going to be a good championship, and it's going to be one to withstand the test of time as well. Just as the cars have something quite different to what we're normally used to. We're seeing a bit more bumping and barging out there on the track, but I don't really mind that, to be honest, because, well, at the end of the day, that's the style of racing, and it's quite good just to get a little bit, close to your rivals.
Look, that is super touring racing through and through. It is a little bit more elbows out. It's not punting, but there is that rubbing is racing kind of vibe. But these cars, like I say, the way they're racing around the circuit, it's absolutely fantastic to see. They sound great, they look great, and it also is quite a unique experience. We don't really see this in sim racing very much. Now, I've raced super touring cars in quite a few places in sim racing. I have driven these. I've spoken to a lot of drivers who were well versed in these cars in sim racing in like years prior when they've done mods and stuff like that. And genuinely across the board, this is not even RaceRoom haven't paid me to say any of this. They are fantastic. They are the real deal. These cars, they feel fantastic to throw around on a hot lap.
Yeah, it's something completely different because there's nothing else even close to it in terms of the way that these cars are set up and the regulations that were there. So I think it's good. And the fact that these are 25 years old now, but the fact that they're still coming back and doing good performance, I think really shows a good sort of insight into what the racing was like back in the day. And the fact that we're going to some classic circuits on this calendar as well, I'm really looking forward to see just how that those styles of tracks sort of change quite a bit, because we're used to these very like dumbed down modern tracks with all this big runoff and everything. But the fact that you have these awkward chicanes here at the Hockenheim, they just wouldn't be made if a track was made now in the modern time. They just wouldn't be designed like this.
No, and that's kind of one of those ones where obviously 2002 when the circuit was changed. Don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people do have modern Hockenheimring as a very good circuit in their mind, and I can understand why. I'm not a huge fan, but I can understand why a lot of people like it. They like the flow, they like the vibe. As a modern circuit goes, it is pretty good for sure. However, there is something about the raw simplicity of this circuit. Like some people really like Monza, and I always say it's a little bit boring because it's just straight chicane, corner, chicane, couple of right-handers, a chicane, quite a good one, fair enough, and then a hairpin, basically, right? That's Monza, and this is almost not really that different, but there is something about the speed around here.
Yeah, back in the day, obviously in F1, they literally used the same setup package at Monza, but I think it's because there's so many tight and twisty tracks where you can't really overtake. It's really narrow. It's all very one line, which is fun. But then when you get to a track like this, it's big, it's open. You have the ability to overtake. You run a completely different style of setup, to be honest. I think it's just good fun that is quite a bit different, because you've got to have a balance in life with these tracks. And at some point, maybe even the likes of Monza will be slowed down. So the fact that we can go back, well, in a similar way to Hockenheim was 20 years ago. So the fact that we can still go to this in the sim is really cool, because obviously this track is literally just, it's not there in the past, or in the future, I should say. It's literally just not there anymore because they obviously didn't upkeep it. And it's just gone into the trees. So the fact that sim racing keeps it alive is really the whole point that we're here.
Indeed. And also you got to think of some of the other circuits, of course. Silverstone Classic, another one which you cannot race in the modern day. It doesn't exist. And in fact, it really doesn't exist anymore, especially considering obviously Bridge Corner doesn't exist anymore because they've ripped it up and there's a kart track there now, which I find incredibly disappointing. But you can at least walk on it and feel that history. And now it's no longer, it doesn't exist.
Is it really completely gone?
Completely gone.
I did know it was completely gone. That is a shame.
I think it might have been earlier this year they started building a kart track. It's quite cool, but also
I heard about the kart track. I didn't realize they'd get rid of it, because that corner under the bridge and then into Priory, that was some of the best corners in motorsport in general, which is a bit of a shame. But the fact that we have it still in sim racing is the whole purpose of why it's there. That's why there's certain tracks that have been demolished on other sims as well, that when we have had them recreated into the sim to keep them alive, it's so good, because then you can still drive it. And as everyone knows in sim racing, the driving is so similar to real life. Yes, you don't have the G-forces and this and that, but you can at least drive the tracks and get a good feel for what they were like.
Yeah, you can throw it around the track and hope for the best, really. By the way, qualifying, we believe, is about to get underway. The second qualifying session of the evening. So they'll be preparing for another 15-minute race. That's what they're qualifying for. And then after this, we'll be having a 25-minute race, which, if Spence Farkash keeps up that pace, he'll be winning by about a lap. But one thing about the 15-minute race versus the 25-minute race, I know it's something to think about a little bit later down the line. Things like tyre wear and stuff genuinely will become a bit of a problem in that 25-minute race.
And also, there's qualifying for every single race, which I like. It's not some sort of rolling on. It's not like a reverse grid situation. You have to go out there and you have to perform again. And yes, if he has a pace advantage, he may end up getting pole again, but he could easily make a mistake or just, not put a lap together, getting stuck in some traffic. And that could be quite important as well. So if you want to be good in this championship, because bear in mind, there's only the 5 rounds, but there are 3 races every time. So that's still 15 races. That's quite a lot over the course of the season. That is going to be very, very important to have the consistency. So let's see. Is it a one race wonder, or is he going to do it again?
I reckon he can do it again. I reckon he's got the ability, the pace, the consistency to do it again. You got to look at that race, right? He didn't put a foot wrong in that race at all. One thing that I would say, though, at least, I'm not saying it would have changed everything, but had he started on the front row alongside an Audi, I'm pretty sure the race would be very different. And I say that because the Audi, obviously with the all-wheel drive, is better on the starts. It's just they can't qualify around it because their pace around the circuit isn't quite as hot. But if one of them gets a good lap in, then yeah, sure, maybe we're going to see a very different style of race.
Yeah, he's certainly helped by the fact that Milana had a pretty terrible start at the front, and obviously had quite a big battle into turn 1. So that gave him that bit of a gap already on that first lap. I would like to see the others maybe try and not battle so much in those first couple of laps to try and keep up with him. But I guess if he's gone, he's gone. You've got to get ahead of him in the first couple of corners. But again, he's got to do the lap again to get that pole position. It would be very interesting if he's in about, 5th place, 10th place, something like that, and he's able to come through, because that would be quite interesting for the Honda Accord, because there aren't many out there, but he's making it work.
And it will be interesting for the audience as well. So, not to be that guy, but kind of fingers crossed for a mid-qualifying from Bence Farkash here. Sorry, Bence.
After the first race of the season already?
Well, I'm just saying. I just think it would be entertaining.
As he comes out, this is interesting. He's come out of the pit lane a lap behind everyone else effectively. So he's on his out lap when some people are on their flying laps. He's going to try and find someone to slipstream. This could be interesting. Maybe he won't get the lap in. We'll have to find out.
Maybe our wishes are coming true here, Cam. No, I think, obviously I'm joking. There must have been some form of issue on Farkash's opening lap there that he thought to return to pit lane and send it round the circuit once more. Not saying that's going to leave an opportunity open for anyone to go and grab pole position, but I mean, it's the second qualifying of the season, so basically it is open for anyone. Here's Enzo Filippo, who started the previous race so strongly on that race down to the first corner. So again, just needs to aim for a really solid qualifier. Somewhere in the top 5, top 6, that would be pretty handy for him, I think.
I think anywhere inside the top 10 will give him a good opportunity. That's for sure. But you never know. There's 30-odd cars on the grid, and you could easily get collected in some calamities in the first couple of corners. So you have to be very careful indeed. As you see Filippo use all of the curb. I mean, he paid for the track, and he's going to use every inch of it as he works his way down the back straight. No direct slipstream, though, for the Frenchman.
Somebody who's not got a direct slipstream. It'll be the first time to first person to cross the line in this session will be Robert Wiesemüller. He is handing out the slipstream to Christian Juhasz and Attila Dina, of course, those in behind. Christian Juhasz will instantly go onto provisional pole position with an 18.3. Actually, quite a good lap time. What was the pole in the previous session? Do you remember?
I should have noted that down, but
that
is
no,
still.
I'm with you.
But that is definitely a good time. Why does something tell me it was a 16 though? Maybe I'm completely wrong.
I think it was a 0.1, wasn't it?
Yes, they. So, look at those out. Look at those Audis. That is an interesting livery.
Chromed out.
They're definitely faster lap times though coming in. 18.3 is going to be a solid one up towards the front. We have half a second covering the top 5 though as those first laps come in. A few drivers returning to the pit lane actually, so they're not going to be able to properly have a second lap at it. But Juhasz goes purple as we get to the next one. He's got no slipstream though. He's the first car ahead. Is that going to suffer him as we work our way down the back straights?
Confirmed, by the way, it was an 18.1. So no one panic that we're not 2 seconds off the pace of this opening part of the qualifying session. Bidolf going pretty quickly. Juhasz going pretty quickly. Cody Nikola Latkovsky, Enzo Filippo, Oliver Berndt, all exceeding track limits, and so the lap's invalidated. Rob Wiesemüller has returned to pit lane, has only 2 minutes left of the session, so will not get back out onto the race circuit. So unfortunately, that one is signed, sealed, and delivered. RW will not be going any faster, nor will Oliver Berndt, nor will Luciano Wittfurt. Arde will not be going any quicker either. Those drivers are all in the pit lane and not going around the circuit for the final laps of this session. 1 minute and 40 seconds left to go. 100 seconds to get your lap in around this circuit.
Let's see what sort of top speed he's going to do. So underneath that gear indicator says 220 Ks, 225, just, I think that's 228 as you get towards the braking zone. So still some fairly decent lap time, top speed I should say, considering the age of the cars. Still very fast, and as we get to the corners, they really do hold their own as well. Some fun cars out here. Bidolf, though, as he went purple in the first sector, lost a little bit in the second. He's just got a couple of corners to go at Opel, then the Sud curve. Don't put the front wheel into the gravel like he did a few times in the race. And out to the final corner, is he going to jump up? P14 is not where he's going to want to start this race. A little bit of a run to the line, and he's going to be up to P4.
208 comes in from Christian Juhasz to move the benchmark 2/10 clear of the next driver. Seems to be quite hard to get a valid lap time in around this Hockenheimring circuit. Ribeiro goes up the 4th position. Importantly, we do have Audis up the order. Where is Bence Farkas in all of this? Is he out there on the circuit? Bence Farkas, I think, is out there on the circuit. He's not tracking for an amazing lap time, but it will be one good enough to chuck him up into the top 5 or 6 at the moment. You can see those sector times from the race winner in the previous race. I don't think this is going to be good enough to get ahead of Juhasz. Depends on how the final sector goes in the Honda Accord through the final corner. Can Bence Farkas chuck himself back on the pole position? He'll cross the line and will move to second. Juhasz with the pole position then. Farkas with the final lap of the session will go to the front row.
And what a tight battle at the front there. Latkovsky, that's a much better performance. We didn't see much about him after he struggled in qualifying in the first race. And some similar names up there once again as they were in that first race. So it looks like we do have a challenge as Juhasz gets that pole position. Can he keep it, though, down into the first corner?
A few other drivers struggling in that qualifying session, of course. Bo Dixon right the way down the order, unfortunately. Drivers in that kind of obviously you had Nenad Vladislavljevic. He was also right the way down the order. We've seen good pace, we've seen good racing from those two in the previous race. and both of them will be starting. They didn't get a qualifying lap in. They'll be starting down the rear of the field. One slight difference, by the way, some more future reference. For the next qualifying session we'll be doing after this, for obviously the longer race, the qualifying session is 2 minutes longer. So have a little bit more time to get that lap in. But that's nothing to do with this qualifying session. We don't have long to go.
Absolutely. It's sort of 3 separate races, so obviously continue to focus on this one. It's interesting, Farkash only doing that 1 lap time, and less than a tenth of a second off, no slipstream. So he's still got the speed in that car, to be honest. So they haven't said that Juhas also did have slipstream. So I think it is going to be pretty close. It just depends if Farkash can get ahead and pull away, or if there's going to be fights from the cars around.
Well, will any of the Audis be able to throw themselves into the lead into that first corner? Can they get a good run? It's Juhas from pole position. You've got a couple of Audis behind in Cody Nicola-Latkovsky and Tomas Ribeiro. And Latkovsky, not with the greatest start, but is a better one from Ben Farkash, who seems to get the front-wheel drive power straight down to the circuit brilliantly. We get one of those Audis of Nicola Latkovsky up to second position, and Christian Juhas from pole goes down to third. The defensive line will come in as Enzo Filippo will try and keep Ribeiro at bay. Rob Biesemiller's dropped back to sixth as they work their way down into the Clark curve.
Yeah, what a start from Farkash. There's definitely some speed in that Accord, isn't there? As he is able to retake the lead up towards the front, though. Latkovsky's on the outside line. Juhas on the inside. Juhas just about holds on to that one and will keep second place. There's some moves in the background as well, as a couple of the Chrome Audis are trying to make some moves, but everyone in one long line here.
Yeah, all Chrome. Do you know what? I'm going to say I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Obviously, it is not supposed to. That's fine. It works. Instantly it's the Audi, especially considering some of the chrome and red livery they've run before. Still will say the Marlboro livery that Filippo's driving around in looks sick.
Absolutely. But to be honest, it's quite interesting that some of these cars are like that, but we'll try and figure out who exactly it is, of course, and we'll keep you up to date on that one, as we're seeing a move here from Dana in the Volvo. Goes to the inside, tries to make a move on Venieri as we work our way in towards the next braking zone. He's got the inside line. Can he brake later? But Venieri round the outside, much more confident, uses that speed and is able to continue on and hold that place.
Yeah, had full faith that car was going to stick. You got side by side there, left-hand side of your screen. That's Rob Wiesenmuller trying to look down the inside on Ribeiro as they get their way onto the brakes into Mobil 1. Joined to the fight as Biddulph will look to the inside as well and fires his way through. Is he going to go too deep? He makes contact and sends Ribeiro off the road. He plants the throttle down and uses the Audi heritage, that rally heritage, to keep the car pointed in the right direction. But a big mistake from Biddulph, and it was Wiesenmuller picking up the pieces.
Yeah, that was a little bit late. Wasn't it him in the previous race into that same corner?
I think so.
Making a big dive. Is not actually the hardest braking zone in the world. It's a really fast corner in towards Mobil 1. And unfortunately, for him, for Ribeiro, losing a place because of that contact in the background as well. We're seeing a big bit of defense. I think this is still Dina. And Venieri trying to hold on. It's Pedadano actually's got past Venieri. And also, Pedadano's going to be going to the front of this because Dina's gone wide. He's going to be losing a couple of places.
Bosso, by the way, was the one who had the moment in the background, has dropped down the order. Unfortunately, retirement as well from Bo Dixon after a solid opening race. As we'll keep our eyes pinned here to the likes of Petadano, to Venieri, to Dina, to Luciano Wittfurt as well. And Dika Ramolano and Jean Petre losing a couple of positions up ahead as some more Alfa Romeo's involved in the fight. We've got a big look down the inside here from Venieri. Deep onto the brakes comes Petadano. And now the Volvo with Attila Dina is into the mix.
Certainly does. What a battle we've got here. They've lost a bit of a gap, though, to the cars ahead. So that's a bit of a shame for them. But what a battle we are seeing as we're seeing the number 14 here have a bit of a run, have a bit of a push. That is Wiesenmuller, as this is a whole second train of cars that we have. A couple of trains up towards the front. They're trying to figure themselves out into a single file formation, but it's difficult to do so when you're battling for these positions. Here's Malana in the white BMW. He's lost a couple of car lengths up ahead. They're wiggling around, trying to make some move. Chari is going to be to the inside line as up ahead. We've also got Ribeiro trying to make a move as Jean Petre holds on to that one.
It was actually Jean Petre who fired his way past on Ribeiro. Did not have the speed as they'd worked their way down into the centre curve to try and keep that Alfa Romeo at bay. Will there be a retort coming in here from Ribeiro? I'm not basing on the speed here between the two of them. I think the answer to the question is no. Jean-Petre will hang on to 7th position as they open the corner up, dig onto the brakes, fire it into the right-hander at Mobil 1. Big look coming into the inside as Andika Ramamolana in the BMW was looking for a move there. That's a big send. That was not going to work.
Wow, these guys do love a send on the brakes, don't they? There was no way near enough space for him to get down the inside. He was so far back, but he at least thought about it. Fortunately, in the end, nothing came from that one, and he stays in that 8th position. We go back to Wiesemuller in this 6th position. He's chasing down Biddulph. They've lost a little bit of time, 1.6 seconds to the car ahead of Filippo in the Marlboro Audi. So he needs to be careful not to lose too much time. 10 minutes to go in this race. Can they try and bump draft each other up, or is Wiesemuller just going to go for this overtake in the background as well? I think it's Jean-Petre also looking under threat once more from Ribeiro.
Let's see if there's going to be a move coming in. Big bump draft coming in from Rob Wiesemuller, who I'm going to say it now, I'm surprised he's not actually in the court. When I raced Rob Wiesemuller in some Super Tourers, which was now, oh my God, I'm very concerned. That was 10 years ago. Oh my God, I am old.
Don't say that.
That was over 10 years ago. He was in an Accord on that day. I was in a Renault Laguna. Shout out to the Laguna. Do you remember what livery it was in, Cam?
No, I do not. I remember the Laguna. That was an absolute weapon.
It was a weapon. Love the Laguna. But yeah, he was in an Accord and ended up winning the championship. That was the Touring Pro Series Virtual Super Tourers, which is a thing.
That's a name.
10 years ago.
That's certainly a name indeed. But what, as well as I'm loving this. The style of racing that we're getting, and they're plenty fast enough as well. You don't need this new GT3 prototype machinery to have a good races. Biddulph, what a run! He's got out the Uskurve down towards Senna, and he should be able to make this one stick on that outside line. Although big send there on the brakes from Filippo, that is way too late, and he's squeezed onto the curb furthermore, and he's gonna have to look in his mirrors now.
You say way too late. He still managed to pull it up to the apex. The only thing is, he's going to be a sitting duck here for Rob Wiesemuller as they work their way down along the final real stretch into Mobil 1. You've got Rob Wiesemuller already through. It was just, I wouldn't say it was a little bit too deep. I just think the braking potential of that Audi seems to be pretty handy. Absolutely slammed on the brakes and was able to get fully alongside. But yeah, just far too tight of an angle to hold anything. There's a great view to see the domination once again from Bence Farkas. You're not even halfway through the race. He's already got more than half the gap that he had in the previous one. He didn't even start this one from pole.
How many more Hondas are there going to be at round 2? when they see the speed that Farkas is getting out of that car, and the start as well. It was so quick off the line. That's what really helped him to keep the lead in the first race and then make the lead in the second race. What a start it's going to be for this championship for Farkas, as he just needs to keep it on the track to get a second race victory. But in behind, who's going to get second place? Lekowski now is getting the run. And as you say, Lewis, actually, that Audi does seem pretty handy on the brakes. Can he try and make a move here on the Volvo?
I think he'll need to be patient. Well, Koji Nikola Latkovsky, for one, use the pace of that Volvo to maybe try and keep the gap to 1.2 seconds or maybe increase the gap to those behind, hoping that the fight would grow between Biddulph, between Wiesemuller, Filippo, Jean-Petre and the likes behind. But alas, there is no opportunity. The problem with Cody Nikola Latkovsky, if you make a move down into this chicane, if you make a move down to the centre, you're just going to be a sitting duck by the time you get down into Mobil 1. Timing is everything with this move, but it's really not easy. It's very tactical.
Certainly is, and I love races that need a little bit of brain power to try and you know, work your way through and work out what the best situation is going to be, because sometimes there's tracks where it's just send, and you don't really have to use your brain, don't have to have much strategy. But it does seem like here, because it's possible to overtake multiple times a lap, you do have to think about it a little bit, which is quite nice indeed. As we get to 6.5 minutes remaining, Wiesemuller, big bump draft there on, well, actually, that was almost a crash. Such was the bump on that one. And has a nice exit, actually, out of the chicane. He's going to be getting a good run on that Volvo, or with that Volvo.
Rob knows how to race touring cars, trust me. One time he punted me at Alton Park, and I've still not forgotten it. And yes, it was 10 years ago. And I started from pole position in that race, just throwing it out. Here comes the big move, though, to the inside into Mobil 1. Rob Wiesemuller with a big move on Biddulph will fire his way through into 4th position. But the gap is 1.1 seconds to the cars ahead. The more they fight, the less likely it is that they'll be seeing themselves onto the podium.
That's so funny the way you said that, by the way. Oh, he punted me once. Yeah, I definitely remember that. And Lewis never forgets. As Wiesemuller up into 4th place, holding on to it nicely. Indeed. Big gaggle of cars behind him, though. This is going to be one of the hardest positions to hold on to. With Lekowski getting up the podium is pretty sorted. We're getting a little look from Filippo up the inside of turn 1, just showing the Alpha a bit of that he's still there and uses a much better line, actually. Good exit here out of turn 1.
See if there's going to be a move. See if there's going to be an opportunity for Filippo. I don't think there will be for Filippo, but it more depends on what Bidolph and Wiesemuller do here onto the brakes, down into the Clark curve, because that gap's now grown to 1.5 seconds. This is what Cody Nikolakowski's doing, sitting in 3rd position right now. He's remaining behind, trying to take the pressure off of Christian Newhash, allowing him to focus forwards and try and pull that gap out. But with how Super Tourers are, with how the big slipstream is around the circuit and how each of the cars react differently to certain parts of the circuit, you'll see these gaps ebb and flow quite drastically around the circuit. That's what we've been seeing. It was 1.5 seconds, now down to 1.3. The only time that you'll know really what it is at the line. Tick it off there every single lap. Are you closing? Are you gaining? Are you losing? What is the situation? I'd say for right now, 2nd and 3rd are definitely pulling away from 4th and beyond.
Yes, they certainly are. I guess the battles aren't helping that situation, as every time you battle, you lose a couple of tenths here and there, and the momentum is such a big thing around this track. You have these long straights. If you lose a tenth coming out of the chicane, you lose that all the way down, and you'll lose a little bit more, even by 2 tenths by the time you get towards the next chicane. It's so important to get the runs out of these corners. As you see there, you just get a little bit of a better run, and then you start gaining on the car ahead. But it's so difficult to make these overtakes to us, as the drivers sort of put themselves in the best opportunities, but they can't always send it down the inside. Filippo is thinking about it once more, but he doesn't go for it again.
Still doesn't. There's a bit of a look, though, coming in from Andika Raul-Milana. Gets Jean Petra offline, smacks into the rear end of the Alpha, which is, fair, I guess. That gap, though, between 3rd and 4th, under a second. Rob Wiesemuller is charging up to the rear end of the Macedonian of Cody Nikolakowski. And with 2 laps left to go here in the 2nd race of the evening, things are not settled on the 2nd and 3rd steps of the podium. Things seem comfortable for Vince Farkas, though, who remains dominant here at the Hockenheimring.
Who is that in the background weaving like mad, trying to hold on? Might be Ribeiro, I want to say. Yeah, he's weaving like absolute mad, trying to hold Chari behind. I mean, he's not even that close compared to some of the battles that we've seen. But the thing is, when you're this far behind, you do actually get a lot of slipstream and a bit of a run, because you have so much time before getting to their rear bumper that your overspeed is crazy. Look at the run that he's going to get up towards it. This is actually easier to overtake than if you're sitting on the rear bumper. The Alpha goes to the left-hand side. Maybe even going to get the Volvo coming through as well, as that is trying to be... Oh, that's huge contact from Chari. He's going over the chicane. He's going to hold on to that one, but surely he's got to give that place back.
Well, at bare minimum, that gap has to be dropped back into, but he's taking it for all it's worth at the moment. Maybe he feels he was punted there. Maybe he was going for the apex. Didn't have a great vision of it, but it was tough racing between the two of them. But we had the exact visual that Cam was describing there. Whoa! Big bit of curb being taken by Rob Wiesemuller as he pops the Volvo up onto 2 wheels as they work their way around the back end of the circuit. That is going to cost them a whole heap of time.
Yeah, that was lovely. Chari gets a drive-through penalty. Ignore slowdown warning. So he did get slowdown for going over the chicane, but did not adhere to it. So that is going to self-rectify the positions anyway as we come into the final 2 minutes of the race. We're seeing some drivers wiggling in towards the braking zone. They try and find their place. Jean Petra now is going to be defending here from Maulana, who's sitting on the back of this battle, but is still looking very racy.
One last lap to deal with once they cross the line. The gap between 3rd and 4th is once again a 1.5 seconds. Let's see how Rob Wiesemuller navigates this 3rd and final sector of the Hockenheimring. Out wide as they work their way through comes Jean Petra, comes Andika Raul-Milana as they go their way through Mobil 1 into the bank corner at the Sachs curve. Couple of groups appearing here as Andika Raul-Milana, others doing exactly what he did in the previous race, making a move in this final sector. That Beamer absolutely loves this final sector. Superb driving there from Andika Ramamolana to make the move. Just nestled his way through.
Certainly does. That BMW is looking strong. Maybe when we get to a track like Estoril next time out, a little bit more tight and twisty, maybe the BMW is going to come strong then. But Bence Farkas, he's got the purple lap time. He's got 4 seconds advantage. I mean, not quite as much actually as he had in the previous race, but still he's looking strong out the front. And he's got one final race as Latkovsky to the outside on the final lap. Finally looks to try and make a move.
Yeah, he's going to send it here. He's going to go straight around the outside at Clark. They remain on the race circuit. Brilliant racing between the pair of them. Cody Nikola-Latkovsky, Christian Juhasz remain side by side. And all this is going to do is it's going to allow Rob Wiesemuller to close again. This is going to tighten up in this podium battle.
And who is going to break later? I don't think actually it's going to really come down to that. Oh, what a run in the background as well. We're getting drivers catch up. So these two are battling so much that we're seeing Wiesemuller and also Biddulph catch up to them. So these guys had a good bit of a chunk in change in their back pocket. But now we're seeing Wiesemuller get close on this final lap.
They're going to have some big moves here into Mobil 1, I'm sure. That's the thing. It's kind of that's really your last opportunity, isn't it? You know, like, yeah, you can make it. You can do what we've seen in the hands of Andika Ramamolana in that final sector, but really it's Mobil 1 as the defensive line comes in from Latkovsky.
And this is the final proper straight now of the track. Juhasz, he's holding on. Latkovsky is getting the run. Wiesemuller is dreaming of a P2. If we get a bit of a situation working up, that Volvo is getting the run. We might be 3 wide here.
It's not quite going to be close enough. He could get past Cody Nikola-Latkovsky. Bit of a brush between the pair of them as the Audi and the Volvo go side by side in Mobil 1. Juhasz has a good drive as well in his own Volvo as he takes the defensive line as they head their way into the Sachs curve. Straight around the outside comes Cody Nikola-Latkovsky. He's gone out wide. He's gone off the road. He brings it back on in 3rd position. Bence Farkas is going to take 2 from 2 as he's going to be dragging his Honda Accord across the line to take victory. But the tight fight behind will see Christian Juhasz into 2nd position and Cody Nikola-Latkovsky in 3rd. They had a battle on the final lap, which allowed the rest of the field and the group to close in, but it wasn't enough for Rob Wiesemuller or Lloyd Biddulph, as Juhasz and Latkovsky will take 2nd and 3rd.
And Malana making a couple of positions on that final lap as well, getting past Filippo and Jean-Petre. So what a battle inside that top 8. A big train at the front and giving us some great action, but they can't keep up with Farkas, who wins by almost 6 seconds once again.
Yeah, indeed. Fantastic stuff. Bence Farkas on top once more. Christian Juhasz, Cody Nikola-Latkovsky, Rob Wiesemuller denied the podium there. Lloyd Biddulph as well. Andika Ramamolana, Enzo Filippo. Jean-Petre, Ribeiro and Bernd will be the top 10. As those behind, it'll be Attila Dina, then Petter Daniel. Diok Anglo will be in 13th position with Kubalaya, obviously in 14th position. Then Nats, Arde, Vinieri, Chari, Turano, of course, with Vladisavljevic being the final car in that top 20. Still awaiting a few cars to come across the line, but you can see the rest of them. Jonas Riedel will be in 23rd position with Vicente. Then Sebastian Rey actually getting a finish onto the board, which is always handy. Wang Lin in 24th position with Wolk, then Lichtenhagen. Much worse, unfortunately, in this race than in the previous one, in that BMW with Volta, Haustein, Bozo, of course, had a bit of a moment earlier on the race. 2 retirements, Luciano Vitford, the first of those, the second of which, unfortunately, be Bo Dixon. 2 retirements from the second race of the evening, but the big talking point is that double victory. Race 1 and race 2 ticked off for Bence Farkas. Fantastic stuff. Christian Juhasz in 2nd position. Cody Nikola-Latkovsky then into 3rd.
Yeah, this is going to be a great championship, I think, between these drivers. They just need to catch down Farkas, but it's only 2 races so far that he has won. Still plenty to go, and Juhasz, Latkovsky, they're now coming, up towards him. But what they need to do is they need to try and get more cars in front of him in qualifying this time around, because that Honda seems so fast off the line. But of course, with Farkas there being on that inside line into turn 1, he just had such a better launch, managed to get the lead already. If he's back on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th row, he won't have enough, obviously, space to do that. So hopefully qualifying goes a bit better for some other drivers next time around.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, look, we might see the three-peat from Bents Farcash here, but it doesn't mean that that's how things are going to unfold necessarily through the season. Of course, it's very different circuits that we'll be dealing with here on out as well. You know, obviously circuits like ours, like Silverstone Classic, it's really like they're all very different styles of circuit to race around. And also, you know, might get some other drivers keeping their eye on things in the world of sim racing and maybe thinking now's my chance to jump in. You know, there's a few drivers I'm thinking of. John Monroe, Jack Keithley, where are you at, lads? Get onto this grid, boys.
I'm sure those boys will love it as well with this style of racing. So maybe that could be a bit of a factor if some other boys try to get involved in the championship. But one thing I'm loving, Lewis, is just the style of racing that we're having, the bit more of aggressive nature. I mean, you saw Rob Wiesemuller there on the final lap, sending it down the inside into Mobile 1, but not pushing each other off, just a bit of door rubbing and just telling you're there. And then, of course, trying to go around the outside in towards Sachs Curve as well. So they're just trying to be a bit more aggressive. They're trying to, hopefully the stew's going to be a little bit, of course, lenient in that style of things, not pushing each other off, but just a little bit of door banging and trying to find your way through.
Just remember, I remember when Rob Wiesemuller let me know that he was there. And it was a full-on punt. It was. Thing is, this is the thing with this. This is the thing with sim racing, right? Is I can remember everything. I remember who his teammates were. I remember the team. I remember my teammates. I remember who I was driving for. I remember the corner. I remember how it unfolded. I remember where I qualified. I remember where he qualified. I remember what lap of the race it was. It was, you know, it's frustrating. I remember how he was actually really apologetic afterwards, but I'm still salty about it. It was 10 years ago. One also thing to note, by the way, here, we're not actually racing the classic circuit for this final race of the evening. We're actually racing the modern one, the Grand Prix circuit of the Hockenheimring. So something to throw into the mix. Obviously, all the drivers are very aware of that. They've practiced on both, doing the times to come into it. But it is one of those ones where it can really spice up an evening.
Well, that is certainly quite an interesting piece of information, because that's going to be completely different in terms of how the car choice is going to affect the track as well, because this is way shorter in terms of the amount of straights as well. It's a little bit more tight and twisty. We were saying about Roman Milana in that BMW maybe being a bit better on that infield. There's a lot more corners this time around, so I think we might see a slight change up in the order. So that is certainly going to be a very fun one to have. Similarly, a couple of different tracks throughout the season on that third race.
Indeed. It's just proof that both me and Cam can't read a rule book, which is why we sit here in the comms booth and watch and chat rather than drive, because we probably both would have been a bit like, whoa, what are you talking about? But I think, look, I'm all for it, because I think it's going to be it's a very different style of race. And of course, remember, it is a 10-minute qualifying and a 25-minute race. So it is different, it is longer, and it will potentially be a lot harder.
Absolutely. Surely it can't be the same as before in terms of, I know it's still the Hockenheimring and a third of the track basically is still the exact same, but it cannot be the same in terms of how it works out. So that's a really good addition to this series, to have something a little bit different. And of course, when we get to looks like when we get to places like Silverstone, we are going to be getting the current Silverstone as well for that third and final race. So it's going to be quite interesting how the car is going to be set up with that, because you always have to retrain your brain a little bit, because you sort of have this muscle memory. When you go out of the pit lane, you know what's going to happen. But now they're going to go out of the pit lane. Oh, it's going to be a little bit different. And who can adapt in, quite a short period of time? They only get a few minutes practice and then straight into qualifying.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes basically is all they get, and that practice time has come to a close. So they're about to start the 10-minute qualifying session and work their way around the Hockenheim Grand Prix circuit. And now you'll probably get 25 minutes of me complaining.
Of what?
Because Of
what?
What do you think?
I don't know.
I'll say it now. I much prefer old Hockenheim.
Well, we're about to find out what actually is going to be a better race. That this is a perfect proof. Back-to-back races on the two different tracks.
Damn right. So they'll wrestle their way out onto the circuit and miss all of their braking zones. That's always a good sign. I mean, look, I will say in these cars, I'm pretty sure you could take them even around Buckmore karting track and it'd still make a quality race.
Are you sure?
This may be a bit tight. I mean, it would be entertaining. They wouldn't be able to get around the hairpins.
No, I have seen a video of a proper car going around there, and they kind of skip out the hairpins and just go straight down the hill.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, the hairpins will definitely be quite a bit tight for these guys. But oh, that is way too late. The two overtake cars banging into each other. That is certainly not what you want to see between the teammates.
certainly not. But alas, it is what it is. You get a little bit of elbows out, I guess, in the qualifying. I mean, it's all practice at the end of the day. You kind of want to see what the limits are in this session as well as the practice before it, before we go into the race. What is happening? I just saw a near full taking out there.
Yes, some interesting driving happening at this point, but the qualifying is about to really get underway, and this is why they're slowing up to try and get some clear laps. But all it's doing is actually putting everyone closer together. So these first laps may not be... Oh, look at the absolute carnage in the final few corners. There might be some drivers actually going flat out there trying to work their way through. This is a little bit of Monza 2019 carnage, but maybe we'll see some clean lap times come out with 8 minutes to go.
One thing you will actually note, by the way, and this is going to make things hilarious for myself and Cam, is, again, we didn't read the rule book, so we're here. We're vibing with you.
We're learning.
You don't have to take the same car for the previous race as you do for this one. That's why Rob Wiesman is in an Audi, which is exchanged one fridge for another.
Okay, now my brain is going to have to obviously work out the new liveries, but we will do our best to keep up on that. But that is a very intriguing one, as that is not the line to go through the hairpin for the Marlboro Audi. I wonder if that is Filippo still there or one of the other drivers. But yeah, maybe just try to work out the new cars. As you say, you only get those 3 minutes, so really have to try and work these things out.
But would that not be, okay, imagine you as a driver, would that not be too much change? Do you not think? Like, you've raced one track in one car, and now you're racing effectively in this case, a completely different track, in a completely different car. I'd want to keep one of those variables the same.
Yes, but I guess it depends how good you are, and we all know Rob is the best driver in the world.
You reckon?
Because he took you out. So we're going to see if he's going to be able to obviously just adapt to that and try and make it work. I think if you've done enough practice, though, it should be fine. I mean, we all know, what's his name? Ben Keating likes to swap between cars in Daytona 24 hours, so it's done in real life as well.
Have you not taken me out? On the racetrack?
Have I taken you out? Probably. I don't know. We haven't done races together. And when we did, we've been teammates.
We have been. I was going to say, I was about to be really offended then. We have been teammates. We have raced against each other.
I mean, you took out the car 2 years ago in Spa 24 Hours. You were the only one to actually crash twice, I will add. So
we all spun at the same corner, so it's fine. You're getting off. I
didn't hit the wall, though. I did not hit the wall.
Or as fast. I set the fast lap on the car. Let's figure out how I focus on this qualifying station and shut Cam up for a little bit. Fine. Ribeiro has gone fastest in the opening sector of the track. Of all of those sectors, times that's come in. I'm kind of ignoring the purple middle sector because no one else has really set one yet. So Ribeiro has been looking fast. I think he might have actually bailed from the lap, actually. Oh, no, it's not. He's still there.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be a bit of a shame saying purple, but it comes into the final couple of corners as we work our way into this interesting qualifying session as we are into new territory with a new track, well, slightly different layout, and then also some new cars for certain drivers as well up towards the line. And it's actually only a few seconds quicker than the old lap, but it's a 46.9 as he puts himself to the front.
Ribeiro being one of the drivers to remain in the same car, as is Bo Dixon, who we see here, was in the Honda Accord, obviously retired from the previous race, remains in a Honda Accord as well. We still have a fair army of Alphas, so we'll still get confused by that. That's fine. But Bo Dixon is remaining in the Honda, which I respect. Also, love this livery.
Yeah, that's quite a cool one, to be honest. But it's a bit retro, as well. You would guess. Yeah, you would guess, being the age of the car, of course. Across the line, 7th place at the moment, and he's going to stay there with 4.5 minutes to go. As Ribeiro's going purple again on his next lap.
Probably one of the stupidest points you might have ever had on the broadcast there, Cam. Sorry.
Well, the gaps are only going to get bigger, or they're going to get smaller. So.
Or they're going to remain the same. That was the quote I dropped. It's fine. Ribeiro, faster in the opening sector of the circuit. It's Audis 1, 2, and 3. Ribeiro, Juhas, and Filippo. Of course, Juhas jumping over from the Volvo into the Audi as well. And then Di Caroline remains in the BMW. Goes fastest in the opening sector. It is actually slightly slower than Ribeiro's opening sector, but still faster than everyone else and what is currently set as the pole time.
Let's see if he's going to be able to improve. It's only a few hundredths of a second. It might be enough to increase, and we do have time for another lap here as well. It's a much longer session and a shorter circuit, so instead of only 2 hot laps, you might get 3 or 4 in this session. As we're also seeing Alana, obviously purple in that first sector, and across the line is Ribeiro going to now jump up towards the front even further. Yes, he is. It's over half a second to Juhas. Ribeiro is already a top 10 driver, but now he's going for this win.
Yeah, fantastic lap time there from Ribeiro. We look back to Bo Dixon, who's got one of the Audis directly behind him as well. I think that is Rob Wiesemuller, who sat directly behind, getting the slipstream also. You've got Biddulph in tow as well. There's RW into the final complex of corners they're going to go. Obviously much more open than it was back before 2002 in this final complex. Still quite tight and tricky and technical indeed as they cross the line. Any improvements from this group? Big one from Biddulph there. The third of those cars crosses the line to go 5th. Here's Cody Nikola-Latkovsky.
Certainly is improving in that middle sector. Gets the run to line. Got a bit of slipstream as well. 6th position. Up towards the line. 2nd place he goes. Still quarter of a second off, but he beats Juhas to be on the front row.
Audi 1, 2, 3, and 4. Obviously in 6th position as well with Biddulph. And Di Caroline, who's had a bit of struggle getting the rear-wheel drive power in that E36 off the line, might be in a little bit of a problematic position. Excellent middle sectors just come in from Ribeiro. Let's see if Filippo can improve from 4th position as he crosses the line. He does not improve. Ribeiro bails from his lap. He was faster in that middle sector by 0.2 of a second.
Farkash in 7th position, 1 second off the pace. How times change. I said it wasn't going to remain the same as we get towards this 3rd and final race on a different track, but he stayed with the same machinery. Maybe it's not going to be the fastest combination this time around, as we also see all spins in the background as well, people pushing. Latkovsky's still on a lap, and he will have enough time to finish.
You could say he's Farkash off the pub. Nah. I'll let you work on that one. Let you work on that one, Cam, as we all stare ourselves. Okay, Nikola-Latkovsky's car racing its way around the circuit. The first sector, good. What's the second sector as we dab onto the brakes and flick it into the right-hander at Motor 1? Not great.
Yeah, that's way too far off, to be honest, to make up in this final sector, but you never know. Hail Mary, deep on the brakes he goes, in towards the Sachs Curve. Will first go to Wiesemuller, down in 8th position, a second off the pace. Surely he can do better than that. Up to the line, he goes to 7th. I mean, it's something, I guess, as an improvement. And out to the final corner, we're getting a few more laps come in.
Wiesemuller, a second off the pace. Tut, tut, tut. All in the same car as well. Ribeiro, who has the pole position. Here's Latkovsky. I don't think there's going to be any challenge. No, loses out even further time in the final sector. Filippo will be crossing the line in the near future as well. He's into that 3rd and final sector. Is Enzo Filippo as he works his way into the final complex at the double right-handers. Jean Petra goes up to 14th, drop back down to 15th. Lichtenhagen goes up to 11th position. Enzo Filippo, who currently sits in 4th position, could steal away 3rd, could steal away a front row, but unlikely to do so. Filippo will cross the line, and it is indeed 3rd position for him. Ribeiro is on pole position, but importantly, Cam, we've got 6 Audis in the top 10, 4 of which are on the front 2 rows.
Yeah, that is unassailable. Definitely the Audi being the fastest car around here. Farkash, after being so dominant on the old school classic Hockenheim, we now go to the modern one, and he's a second off the pace. I'm sure he's going to be able to gain some in the first couple of corners, but will he be able to hold on in this longer 25-minute race as well? That'll be very interesting. Or is the championship now going to balance out?
We'll have to wait and see. So they'll get themselves ready. They'll get themselves onto the grid. They've done their 3 minutes of practice. They've done their 10 minutes of qualifying, and now they get ready for a 25-minute race on a circuit which, of course, they're already well aware of, they're already well practiced at, but still, your mind is in the rhythm of 2002, well, prior to 2002 Hockenheimring, and now you have to get ready for post-2002 Hockenheimring. It's very different style of racing as well, I'm expecting to see 5 wide into the hairpin. 5.
5 only.
5.
8
wide into the hairpin.
I think you're right, though, to be honest. It's so wide down there, and we all know that these drivers like a little bit of a argy-bargy and a little bit of a sendy-wendy. So let's see what they can what they can do from Latkovsky on pole.
4 Audis right up at the top end of the field. It's a fight from pole position. It's going to be a big fight. Ribeiro from pole will lead down into the first corner. Better start from Enzo Filippo, who's been brilliant at the starts here today. He gets up in a second position, tries to attack for the race lead, but can't do it. It now becomes an Audi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as Andika Ramalana does drop back down to 7th as we were expecting to do so. As we head our way down into the second and third corner, big contact here. Juhas will spin round Cody Nikolakowski in front of the whole field as well. You had Lichtenhagen taking a lot of curb on the inside there, and it is chaos in the second corner.
Certainly is, and we are almost 5 wide there coming round the Parabolica as the drivers try and find a bit of a gap for them. Lichtenhagen is in the middle. Ziocchari and Venieri either to his left or his right. They're going to be a single file formation, but down to the hairpin, some moves are going to be made. That is way too late there on the brakes. I think it was Juhas, but he somehow managed to make it stick as Bidoff gets bumped out of the way.
Plenty of smoke being kicked up on the exit of the hairpin, and plenty of smoke in there because there's definite contact in the background as we see Rob Fiesemuller go side by side as they work their way through the right-hander with Benz Farkas, 2-time race winner tonight, now into the arena section. To the outside goes Benz Farkas and can't do it. Back down to the fight between Venieri and Chari as they go side by side on the exit of the arena section now up towards what is definitely Mobile 1 right now. You've got Lichtenhagen, you've got Bo Dixon as well going side by side behind.
What a battle this is going to be. The good thing for Farkas is with this battle, a bit of a gap has opened up for the top, 7 cars in the field. So shouldn't have too much worry behind in case that Honda's not quite so fast. Oh, contact is made with Lichtenhagen. And actually, they're keeping a straight line thanks to some front-wheel drive, flat-out action. Brings the car back around. And it looks like Venieri's just been able to hold on to that one. Further contact, 2x2x2 in the final corner.
Yeah, what do you do if you're in a front-wheel drive and you go slightly sideways? Slam the throttle down 100% as hard as you can push it. Lichtenhagen going side by side as they work their way through the right-hander at turn 1 with Venieri. Behind all that, you've got the Audi of Tirano trying to go side by side with Vitfo. Not able to really do anything in that at the moment as they continue the old looks in the background. Lichtenhagen struggling with the drive down in to the second turn.
And this is an important corner as it works your way through turns 3, 4, 5 onto the back straight, which isn't really straight. It's the Parabolica and down towards the hairpin. We've been saying it's so wide here. You've got the opportunity to dive it down the inside or do some sort of switchback. We go 3 wide in towards the braking zone as we try and find a position for all of the cars. One's gone absolutely wide there. I think that's Vitva has gone wide. Vladislavjevic as well has also gone wide and loses quite a few, about 10 places.
I'm pretty sure it was mostly Vladislavjevic who was going way wide at the hairpin. Off the road he'd go as we stare back at Jean Petre trying to keep the overtake Audi. The Wolk at bay who looks to the inside heading down into the arena. Big looks as well behind all that as the recovery drive is coming in from Cody Nikolakowski. Spun round on lap number 1. Finds himself down in 22nd position, attacking the rear end of Attila Dino of Oliver Bent as well. There is definitely a recovery drive up for grabs here from Cody Nikolakowski.
If he wants to go for this championship, he needs to get some points. Farkas is in P7, and he's got enough time to do it. Still 20 minutes to go in this race, and he's already up into 21st. You would assume maybe even a top 10 with a clean race. We'll have to find out as is Michael Wolk as he works his way through into P17. This is a bit better. He struggled in the first couple of races down in the lower portions of the 20s, now up into P17. That's a lot more like it.
See a few people in the chat. Moritz Lerner did hear the hints that maybe we need to see a Moritz Lerner out there on the circuit. I know I've chucked out the invite, of course, to John Monroe, Jack Keighley. We definitely need to see Moritz Lerner out on this grid. Come on, lad. Liking the look of the brushed chrome, the chrome here on the Audi. I agree, it does look a bit heavier. It is some raw metal on that car. Also, Papa Wiesemuller out in the chat as well. Speaking of which, we'll see Rob go side by side with Benz Farkas. trying to make the move by the time they get down here into the hairpin, and Farkash will indeed be through, but that all-wheel drive Audi will surely pull alongside the exit of the corner.
Look as he absolutely stamps on the gas to get that rear stepping around. Obviously, you can't quite do that on the front-wheel drives, but it's certainly working. Farkash is using that Honda to good, to good work though, because I think it has quite good top speed from what we saw at the old classic Hockenheim, and he's already up into 6th place. Some batting up ahead though. Maulana side by side as they try and work. Oh, huge contact! He saved it. Bit of contact there with Juhas, as we're also getting Bidolf, I should say, trying to get involved in that one as we work away through Mobile 1.
Yeah, got the BMW there. Vandika Ramomaulana trying to drag his way through. Will indeed get past. And so Vandika Ramomaulana now in 4th position, looking for another podium. Looking to get past Christian Juhas, looking to try and get up to the rear end of Enzo Filippo. I don't think that really is going to unfold that way. 2 seconds clear. That said, we're only, ladies and gentlemen, 5.5 minutes into this 25-minute race. There is plenty of time for things to unfold here at the Hockenheimring. And even Ribeiro's gap there, 2 seconds clear. 25 minutes, you don't know how these cars are going to unfold. You don't know how the tyre wear is going to affect each and every one of them. The all-wheel drive of the Audi likely to use its tyres, especially on those fronts, more than, for example, the rear-wheel drive BMW there on the E36 of Andika Ramomaulana. But it will use more rear tyres, of course.
Yeah, it's all about the balance, really, in these slightly longer races. If you start losing the balance, you can't control the car, and it's really difficult to keep it going in a straight line as the car's trying to rotate on you one way or the other. Juhas there beelines it to the right-hand side in defense. Maulana trying to come on the outside in that BMW. To the outside he's going to go. He's going to brake late enough. He's going to try it around the outside. Unfortunately, a lot more distance is needed, and he's going to lose it. The Audis really slide sort of on the exit of that hairpin. They get a great run, and Bidolf is certainly going to do that as he comes down to the next braking zone.
Indeed. We'll see these attempts come in. Bidolf, we're on board with here. By the way, we are seeing a few bits in the chat about how this championship unfolds, and of course behind the scenes sponsorships and stuff. There are prizes up for grabs for a lot of these drivers, courtesy of some fantastic sponsors. We've obviously got Moser on board with the direct drive wheelbase. Not exactly sure as to where these prizes go between the top group, but yeah, you've got Moser, you've got the sensor haptic feedback seat as well, tailored rig complete with a seat as well, Aston Racing dashboard, and cash prizes for the top 10 in the championship. We'll cross those off as the season unfolds. There's plenty for these drivers to be focused on when it comes to their abilities out there on the racetrack and what they're pushing for. But then it really is also just for the fun of it for a lot of these drivers. These cars are so good to drive and so good to race. I mean, that's why we're here, isn't it, Ben?
Well, absolutely. And I think, as you say, for most of the drivers, it's a bit of nostalgia being able to race in these cars in this sort of style of series, as we're seeing Lacoste, huge send to the outside.
Wow.
What a run. There's one. Can he make it two as he goes to the outside line? We'll have to see. That could be P15 as he works his way down in towards turn 2. But, of course, the battles go on ahead, and Maulana's trying to get up on the podium.
So beautifully read there from Cody Nikolakovsky. Was firing his way through and all that. Absolutely brilliant stuff. We look at Andika Ramomaulana, Christian Juhas going side by side. Juhas is in a little bit deep there at the hairpin, going for the up and under. Comes the BMW of Andika Ramomaulana. Plants that throttle pedal down. Lloyd Bidolf also closing up in the background, dragging with him two-time race winner this evening, Benz Farkash. I think the third victory, the three-peat, maybe a little bit out of reach, but still a solid result, and maybe even a podium is not out of reach for the Hungarian.
Potentially not, to be honest. I think he still has a good opportunity. It just depends how the battling goes on ahead. The issue is it seems like he doesn't quite have that speed, and he's really having to push quite a lot, and it depends how aggressive Maulana wants to be to try and make this move. It seems that the Audi is very strong off the corners here. Look at that, just another car length gained on the exit by Juhas. So Maulana needs to be pushing all that he can to try and get this move. 16 minutes to go, plenty of time to do so. And I'm very interested how the Audi is going to look with 5 minutes to go in terms of how it's using its tyres, because it's been so strong, but surely there's got to be a trade-off somewhere.
We'll see. We'll see how things unfold. Again, we're not even 10 minutes into this race. We've got 15 minutes left to go in this race, an entire race distance for the previous 2 races we've had this evening. There is still a lot of time for this to unfold, but Ribeiro is in full control at present. Look at the rear end being kicked out there from Andika Ramalana. It's going to be a poor run through 3 and into the Parabolica down towards the hairpin. What will the slipstream look like in favour for the BMW, picking up the rear end of Christian Juhasz? Biddulph will also be closing in. This could be 3 wide, Cam.
Certainly is. It will do. Down the inside he goes, trying to make a double move up the inside. He's made it stick to the apex as well. What a move there by Biddulph as Juhasz goes down. Malana goes down as well. They thought they were fighting for 3rd place, but now Malana is down into 5th. What a move there as Biddulph tries to hold on to it in towards the next braking zone. He goes to the inside line as well. It's a bit of a switch back, a bit of a send, bit of contact, but Biddulph holds on.
This could open up the door, though. They've both gone off the road, and into the mix comes Andika Ramalana. Straight around the outside of Christian Juhasz. He's going to go. Juhasz will have the inside run on the move into Mobile 1. And there's going to be a bit of contact between the pair, and a bit more contact as well. Will this open up the door for Farkas?
I think it will. There is one move. Can he make it stick in the braking zone, though? Around the outside, it's going to have to be for Sachs. It is a little bit banked there, but not enough for Malana to hold on. Is in the background. Wiesemüller still thinks he's got a chance for this one as well. What crazy racing we have here at the Hockenheim. We went from the classic to the modern, but the action's still out there on track.
RW knocking at the door, going for the up and under at the final turn. Obviously going to drop back into the slipstream. Closing in with him is Chari, the highest placed of those Alfa Romeo 156s. So there's a lot more to deal with in this group. This battle for 3rd position for the final spot on the podium. The top 2 are clear. 3.6 seconds ahead is Ribeiro. 4 seconds clear of the group behind is Enzo Filippo. That race victory is completely gone from anyone in this group.
Yes, it certainly is. Ribeiro is looking so strong. He's doing a Farkas to everyone. Now Farkas is trying to catch back up. He's in this Honda, trying to chase down. Unfortunately, he lost quite a bit of time there actually with that battle. Huge send to the inside for Malana, then huge send to the outside as he tries to get this position. He does the switch back. He's finally going to make it stick up the inside, but is that going to be enough as they get the drag race down to the next part of the track? Juhasz has been doing such a good job in defence.
Yeah. Lloyd Biddulph, though, has checked out. They go through the kink, through the right-hand kink, then onto the brakes, into the arena section. Deep onto the brakes here is Andika Ramalana, just missing the apex slightly, kicking out the rear end. You could see his attempted read as they went down into the hairpin, as he was going one way and then back the other. He's finally through on Christian Juhasz. Whether Juhasz will have another opportunity to come through, you'll have to wait and see. It's 1.1 seconds now ahead of Andika Ramalana up to Lloyd Biddulph. But this is the sector where potentially you might see the slightly lighter and more nimble, in a sense, comparatively, BMW try and close up potentially onto the rear end of that mighty Audi, which kicks off the corner so well. Through the final turn they go. 12 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the race. Andika Ramalana there in 4th position. Lloyd Biddulph has been closed down slightly.
Certainly has, as this is getting very close indeed. Farkas, as he works his way up towards the 2nd corner. Is there going to be any sort of move? Not quite yet. Wiesemüller still looking very much aggressive to try and make this P6 back, but I don't think any of the positions up ahead are sorted out as well. Wiesemüller, a nice little switchback there. He's going to get the run.
Indeed. Let's see if the move might come in now from Wiesemüller. What other moves are we going to get on the run down into the hairpin? You can see that the straight line speed there for the Audi not quite good enough to finish closing in on that run down into the hairpin. Bence Farkas going out a little bit wide is Christian Juhasz. Farkas might be into the mix as well. Off the apex completely was Rob Wiesemüller as well. I'm pretty sure Cam Roger could get close to that hairpin.
Yes, did you see the difference though on the exit of the corner for those Audis? But then when they get going, the Honda does rekindle a little bit on the mid part of the straight, which is very interesting to see the slight different styles of the 2 different cars as they work their way now through this stadium section, as Farkas is trying to regain some points that he's effectively lost after being quite a bit off the pace in terms of the qualifying session, but he has a lot more race pace. Unfortunately, it's not going to be another race victory because not only is he miles off the victory, but also off the podium. Latkovsky is up to P12 now. While we don't look at him for a few laps, I mean, he gains about 5 positions. And now, is it going to be another one? He's in that silver Audi, but not enough to get Rene just yet.
I think the highest that he'll be able to get is maybe 9th position. Once he's got past Rene, once he's got past Hockenheimring, once he's got past Vitfoot as well, it's then 5 seconds up to that gaggle for 3rd. But that said, if they're battling hard over the next 10 minutes and 20 seconds, wouldn't necessarily rule it out. We look back then to Wanshi Lin, who's got Roland Bozo directly ahead, who of course retired at the coming out of the final corner on one of the earlier laps in the previous race, or had rather an issue back there. He didn't retire, but he had an issue back there as well. Bozo trying to fend off Wanshi Lin in that fantastic livery on that BMW. Love that.
Yes, certainly is. Tricolor colours as you work away out onto the back straight. Is he going to be absolutely swamped by the Alfa Romeo? I think he is, though, as the Jean Petre is going to be getting down the inside, have the shorter run. Now, you also have the outside line in towards the braking zone. Is that going to be enough to brake late? No, the BMW is actually looking quite good on the brake set on that inside line, so should be able to hold on to that one. But Jean Petre thinking about it, not quite enough with the rear wheel drive being able to rotate mid-corner. And of course you have Wolk just looking at the back of them. Jean Petre, though, hasn't given up.
Indeed. You can see Wolk just trying to close in. Did have a better drive potentially off of the hairpin, but again, not quite good enough, as we'll keep our eye on the battle just ahead of him between Jean Petre, between Lin, between Bozo as well. Bo Dixon's checked out from this fight. Again, we've had some fantastic battling around the Hockenheimring. We've done 15 minutes of this race, Cam, so now we can analyse more so than we could do in previous times as to what's better, the pre-2002 layout or the current layout. And I say the race has been better on the pre-2002 layout, but it's still been very exciting here on the post-2002 layout as we see Sebastian Rey ride out, going side by side with a bit of a look down the inside as well. Dick Nat's trying to throw his way into the mix.
All the Germans back here. Ray holding on, Nat's getting through. Rido, as you say, dropping down. They're all going off the track as well, following each other a little bit too deep on the brakes. But to be honest, I think it's these cars are just bringing out some great battles. Yeah, the Classic is probably slightly better suited for the racing for these cars. We'll have to see how it goes on and progresses throughout the calendar. But certainly the long straights and many chicanes allow plenty of overtaking opportunities. However, this modern circuit is still working out to give us a pretty decent race as well. To get to 8 minutes to go in this race, about a third remaining so far. The battles continue on a little bit lower. Dan's Dixon on the Honda. He's got the outside line. Tirano will have the inside brakes way later. Gains a good car length there, and the braking zone makes it stick and gets the run out of the corner as well.
Indeed, that was again some brilliant racing. Once again, we've seen a fair amount of it. We get so much smoke coming off of the hairpin as well, as Bo Dixon will look to the inside of Tirano. We look back from Rene. The outside line comes into the arena section as Bo Dixon will try and get around the outside of that Audi. Not going to work just there, though. The drive superior in the hands of that Audi. Seeing another one in the chat that we need to see out on this grid. Image of a Sekov. Get practicing, boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Get yourself out on the track, get yourself involved when the leaderboard comes around next time. Of course, the next race, when does it happen? Yes, in a couple of weeks' time, to be honest. So you've got a good 2 weeks to try and get the speed in that car, get practicing when the leaderboards opens up. And, of course, try and get yourself in the top split.
Estoril, Donington Park. That's what we'll be racing. Opening 2 races at Estoril. Donington Park also being raced at before we'll do Arvis and Zolder, and then we'll do Silverstone Classic and Silverstone Current to end the main portion of the season before we get that 5th round and the drama that will come with some new circuits also in the season finale. Got a lot to deal with in the RaceRoom Super Touring Championship in 2025. It's a great addition to RaceRoom's rostrum of racing. Obviously, we have RaceRoom Ranked Champs that we've done before. We've had some great leagues as well. DTM also. Bent with a big move down the inside of Tiladina Savljevic after that big moment of the hairpin when he went straight on. Basically, earlier on in the race, is involved in this fight as well as Rene and Tirano. I think there might be an issue for Tirano.
Yes, there might be dropping down. That's way too late in towards the hairpin for Vieri as Tirano gets through Bo Dixon as well. as the Alfa Romeo drops back to the back of this little three-way pack. Look at the Honda. Look at the top speed of that Honda coming down in towards the braking zone as Dixon tries to go around the outside, and he forces the Audi to brake late, but they manage to hold on to that position. So Tirana does keep on into P12.
Halstein, by the way, unfortunately, has had a bit of a problem further down the order. Has gone for a bit of a spin. I think has rejoined the circuit, but is struggling to do so. But now it's back going in 31st position. No retirement in the third and final race of the evening as Bo Dixon looks to the outside of Tirana. Can't do anything into the Sachs curve. 5 minutes left to go in the race, and the dominant performance from the top two allows them to run away from the rest of the field. Behind that, though, we've got some great battling up and down the order, right at the front, right at the back also, including right here, right in the middle, as we go back to Cody Nikolakowski. One final spot, and his recovery drive will be about as good as it's going to get after being spun around on lap one to the rear of the field. Could be running in ninth position, but Luciano Vitfort is not someone to be messed with. We've seen some great racing from Vitfort.
We certainly have. I mean, in all the ranked stuff we've done over the last couple of years, Vitfort has always been up there towards the front, winning races, battling for championships, so he knows what he's doing at this level. Of course, Lakowski does as well. Side by side we go. Bo Dixon trying to go the outside of the Parabolica. Tirano not having the run that he would have wanted in turns 2 and 3, and that has allowed the Honda to get the run already. That top speed is working out very nicely, and he's got the inside line down towards the hairpin to try and defend as well. Is the Audi going to be later on the brakes, though, to try and make something happen? But I think Bo Dixon should be okay here. A little bit of rubbing, a little bit of banging, but he's going to keep that line on the exit.
Watch out for the all-wheel drive here, though, of the Audi on the exit of the hairpin. You see a lot more of the Audis take the wider line there, but I think might breathe off the throttle, or even then the straight line speed of Bo Dixon's Honda Accord might be slightly higher than that Audi. There comes a bit of a look down the inside as they go into the arena section, slams it over the curb on the inside of the arena, and Bo Dixon is able to hold on to that spot once more as we ride on board with Vinieri now into Mobile 1. Is he the next one to make his way past the Audi of Tirano? Seen a couple of great bits of battling between these two.
Yeah, that's really nice from these guys as they're pushing each other through the Sachs curve as we get the power down, but the Audi just pulls away a little bit, actually, Vinieri. That's why he was pushing him, because he knows maybe he has got a slight bit of a disadvantage. Then he understeers there as well, coming in towards the final couple of corners. So not the ideal racing line, and he loses a decent chunk of time. He loses 0.6 of a second with that one as well. Now Lin is on the back of him as he work away. Just less than 3 minutes to go, so 2 laps remaining.
Yeah, there is not long left to go in this opening round of the season, the third and final race of it here at the Hockenheimring. We've raced in the pre-2002 layout. We're racing on the current Grand Prix loop as Wan Shi Lin will get past Bozo here. They go out onto the Parabolica. And the Alfa Romeo with the inside line as they go their way through this long left-hander. Might see Yuan Shi Lin with a move done, but alas, he could not complete it. The straight line speed not quite enough. Now continues to look down the inside as they exit the Parabolica, then go down to the hairpin. The big move to the inside coming in from Lin. Fires it through, will pass on, rather, I'll correct myself, it's Vinieri, not Bozo. Brilliant stuff from Lin there.
Absolutely, had to slide his way past, rub it up the door of the Alfa Romeo, but now towards the next braking zone. Can he hold it? He's got the 2 Alphas searching for the space in behind. A huge way too late on the brakes there from Bozo. He's made it work. He's used the other cars around him as a natural handbrake, and he's got himself up into P15.
Bozo, the battering ram based on that one. Absolute full send there. Back up to RW then in his fight against Benz Farkas. Rob Wiesemuller trying to work his way through in the 6th position. It's been a solid evening of points, a solid evening of results. Not quite as solid though as Benz Farkas. He's been absolutely fantastic this evening. 2 victories. He won't come up with another podium, but another solid result. 6th place will be very handy. 7th and 8th wouldn't be too bad though. Those are the ones behind as we've got 70 seconds left.
And with the likes of Juhas only just up ahead of him, the points lost in this race aren't actually too bad for Farkas, so he is going to be looking good in terms of the championship as well. He just needs to hold on to this from Wiesemuller, and we are going to see that top speed of the Honda, just pulling away a little bit, but then the Audi gets the drive off the corners and is potentially slightly better on the brakes. Milana, though, he's going for a podium on that outside line. Biddulph on the inside, brakes late. He manages to make it stick, but the rear wheel drive there almost spinning up for Milana, and he loses time.
But whereas Andika Milana made moves this evening, he's made some big moves in that final complex. Huge slide coming off from Rob Wiesemuller as they kick off of that hairpin right onto the rear end of the front-wheel drive Honda Accord that's piloted by Ben Farkas so brilliantly this evening. Is there going to be a move here from Wiesemuller? He's going to be deep on the brakes. Couldn't quite make anything stick.
That was always a four-wheel lock-up there as he tries to make the move. He's having to push so hard, but Farkas is putting his car in all of the right places and is fast at the right time with seconds remaining in this race. Actually, is Ribeiro so far ahead to get another lap? We'll have to see. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, well, Ribeiro's through the final corner. He'll flash the lights. He'll cross the line with 1 more second faster and we've got another lap. However, Ribeiro, with the full control, will take victory from Filippo and Biddulph as well, as they'll work their way through. Andika Milana unable to get through on Biddulph. Rob Wiesemuller trying it on Fence Farkas. Contact between them at the final corner. Chari's closing his way in, but can't do anything. Fence Farkas will finish in 6th position to circle off a brilliant opening evening of the RaceRoom Super Touring Championship for him. Rob Wiesemuller will set up for 7th position. Chari there. Great recovery drive from Cody Nikolakowski up to 9th position from the rear end of the field after the opening lap. Superb performance, but your race winner is Ribeiro.
There's some great battles up and down the field there. I mean, Latkovsky dropping down, coming back. The battles up there inside the top 5, top 10 with Biddulph and Milana. They had an awesome battle there. Farkas and Wiesemuller as well. It looks like these cars are going to give us a great season of racing. So I can't wait to see what this is going to do. But interestingly, all 3 races, Lewis, dominated and won by about 6 or 7 seconds. I wonder if that's going to continue on in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, obviously Farkas winning races 1 and 2. Ribeiro here winning race 3 of the evening. Filippo up there in 2nd position. Biddulph having a great round. Obviously did race in the Alfa Romeo in the opening 2 races of the evening, then the Audi in this one. Andika Milana, BMW all the way through the night in 4th position with Christian Juhasz in 5th spot. Bence Farkas will finish in 6th after remaining in the Honda Accord with Rob Wiesemuller in 7th. Cody Nikolakowski with Luciana Wittfurt and Lichtenhagen will be in 10th position. Those in the positions further back will be Dixon, Torano, Yanshi Lin, Bozo, Vinieri, Wolk, Jean Petre, Kubilaya will be in 18th position with Peter Daniel in 19th position. Vladisavljevic will be in 20th after going straight off the road at the hairpin with Bernd, with Dina, Ray, Volta, Diarcangelo in 25th position with Dirk Nats, Vicente, then Rydell, Chari, and of course Arde. Don't know, wasn't Chari further up the order, or was it going a bit crazy? Either way, Haustein with a spin late on in the race would finish down in 31st position. But importantly here, Cam, all 31 drivers were able to see the checkered flag.
Yes, that was very good. We did see some bumping and barging, but the drivers were able to hold on. And once again, Ribeiro beating some GT3 machinery. Of course, that is wrong, but very interesting indeed. With Filippo and Biddulph there rounding out your podium. So a mixture of drivers up towards the front. The championships should be remaining pretty close indeed, and they've got a couple of weeks to get themselves prepared for Estoril.
I would pay good money to see an Audi A4 Super Touring beat a Ferrari 296 and a BMW M4 around the Hockenheimring. I think that would be hilarious. But no, obviously not the case. We can see the pole position award. So, of course, we do have plenty of prizes throughout the Astra Racing dashboard. Then for the pole positions, driver with the most poles. But we've got one apiece. We've got Bence Farkas, Christian Juhasz, and Thomas Ribeiro, of course. Christian Juhasz didn't go on to take victory from his pole, but still 3 pole positions.
Yes, that is quite interesting. After the more dominant victories that we saw, you almost think that someone would be dominating, but no, of course, Juhasz taking that second race pole. So definitely, it's going to be close throughout the 15 race calendar, and whoever is able to get hold of that dashboard, they're going to be very happy indeed. Oh, fastest laps though, we do have a leader.
Yeah, Bence Farkash, of course, the one on top there, looking for the Sensor haptic feedback seat, which you can see there on the right-hand side. So Farkash is in control of that one. Of course, those 2 fast laps on the way to victory. Thomas Ribeiro, that would have been also on the way to victory also. So looking in control, at least Bence Farkash, probably another one that he's in control of at the moment. Just too strong in those opening 2 races. But as soon as we moved on to the modern Hockenheim, didn't quite work out. I think that's going to be a theme potentially of the evenings throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we need to do as well is we need to see what the car choice is compared to the second track. So next time we go to Estoril and the farm tracks at Donington, they're quite a bit different as well. So I think we're going to be seeing some different choices there. Avus and Zolder as well. That's going to be quite interesting. So the car choices over the next couple of rounds are going to set us up very interestingly for the final 2. And of course, we have the secret selection at the end, which means who knows what car is the best one to pick.
Secret selection definitely sounds like a load of chocolates. Hopefully there's no bounties in there. Some people don't like bounties. I'm actually fine with bounties. It's fine. No, really excited though to race in a couple of weeks' time. Of course, Estoril, Donington, very very different style of racing to what we've had here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Estoril is going to be so like tight and twisty with all the hairpins, all the slower corners. And I'll be very interested how the Audi performs there because it's going to be so fast. Out of all the hairpins, they get that rotation. You saw that at the Hockenheim Modern, that hairpin at the end of the back straight, they just floored it and the rear end just came around and they were able to get the exit. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one. We saw 6 Audis at the front at the end of lap 1 here. Wonder if we're going to get the same again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll be able to catch up with Bence Farkash in a few moments' time before we let you go, and I'm very curious to see what his opinion was. Obviously, one of those drivers that didn't change car from races 1 and 2 to race 3. We did see a few drivers do it. Farkash was not one, remained firm with the Honda Accord.
And he still got P6 results. He didn't win the race necessarily, but he stuck to what he knew. And it actually worked out because he was able to hold on from Rob Wiesenmuller at the end. And I think he had the best car choice because the Honda did have enough top speed to outweigh the exit speed from the Audis. So I think it was a strong choice, and maybe he just wants to keep that consistent, as you say, have that feeling in the car rather than changing and having to change your driving style. Because especially in the Audi, being 4-wheel drive, you have to drive the car completely differently. You have to get on the throttle so much earlier. You have to rotate the car differently. So I think stick with what you know, and he's probably still going to be leading the championship, isn't he? So it wasn't a bad choice.
It really wasn't. The Honda Accord was a solid car. It took 2 victories this evening in the hands of Bence Farkash. Let's have a little chat with Bence now. I mean, a superb performance throughout the evening in those opening 2 races, especially. Once we moved on to modern Hockenheimring, didn't quite work out as well, but still a very solid evening to start with. What's it like from your perspective?
Yeah, hello everyone, and thank you very much. Obviously, the first 2 races was very good for me. It was, I had confidence in the car, and it was a great setup. So yeah, it was fun until the modern Hockenheim race. I have to tell you that I forget that we go there tonight. So. Yeah, so just haven't prepared, and yeah, as you said, I know the Honda, I know the setup, I know how it reacts, so I didn't want to change the car. So yeah, we had some tests. I don't know, maybe 6 months from now, and I had the knowledge about the cars in this track, but without the setup and without everything. And lately there has been, some changes in RaceRoom, some patches and etc. So I didn't want to go in a black hole, So yeah, I just stayed with this car, and it was not so much fun than the first 2 races, but it was good.
And one thing that we've seen with this this car and this style of racing is the battles out there are pretty crazy because the cars seem to have quite different characteristics. How was it with Robert there in that 3rd race battling? It seemed like he was very aggressive on the exit, the corners, but you seem to have a bit more straight line speed. Do you still think that was the best choice to keep the Honda?
Obviously not. So if I, do it again, I probably choose Audi. So it was the fastest. but yeah, Honda has more straight line speed, but the Audi is very good at the corners, especially at the exit of the corners. You know, you can go so much deeper with the gas pedal than the Honda. So yeah, it was pretty hard. It was pretty close, and I just, you know, saw Robert in the mirror always, like 1 or 2 times behind me. So it was quite a good race, but you know, it was a smile on my face, so it was quite good. But yeah, the first 2 races was better for me, but you know, these are races, so it's okay.
Superb performance from you all evening long. Thank you, Bence. We'll see you when we go racing in a couple of weeks' time, of course, and we take to Estoril and Donington Park. Be very different style of racing around there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
What a fantastic performance so far this evening from Bence Farkas-Cam. Absolutely dominant in those opening 2 races.
Yeah, and he seems like he knew what he was doing when it came to the car as well. So certainly happy about that one. Interestingly, he did such a good job to hold on with from Rob Wiesenmuller then in the 3rd race, but he still says he would have preferred to be in the Audi, which is very interesting. So let's see if he remembers that we go to 2 tracks and maybe he has a bit of a different car choice next time.
Well, considering he said he wasn't fully prepared, he still did a fantastic job and put together a great race at the previous round. I mean, look, I've really, really enjoyed this evening. I can't wait until we go racing at Estoril and Donington. I mean, look, what are your final closing thoughts here, Cam, on what has been an excellent opening evening of racing?
Just great to have a championship like this back in sim racing, to be honest. So, yeah, great job to all the organisers here at RaceRoom to get this underway. Something a lot different to what we're used to. There's too many prototypes, too many GT3 championships out there. Let's get to some old super tourers, have a bit of fun, have a bit of argy-bargy, and hopefully have a good season as well.
Look, I know there's some prizes up from our fantastic sponsors. There's a lot for people to be playing for in this championship, and that's always good. But we know these drivers just love racing these cars. We know that quite a lot of you have loved watching it, and we've definitely loved being in the booth as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time when we'll take to a completely different style of circuit as we go to Estoril to Donington Park. From myself, Lewis McGlade, from Cam Roger alongside me, from everyone behind the scenes at RaceRoom, we will see you then. Until then, though, have a very warm goodbye.